Black Business School is doing very well in terms of reaching a lot of people. I want to give you guys an update on the Black Business School. You guys know I believe in Black ownership. And so when I left the faculty at Syracuse University many years ago, I decided I want to create an institution that's built for us, by us. I hope people understand how much Black wealth is actually lost when we go deep in debt till the point of death. Like we go in debt till we're dead to go to white universities, and these universities in many cases don't hire Black professors and don't put money back into the Black community. And in many cases, a lot of these universities are actually gentrifying Black neighborhoods, and they're using your money to gentrify your communities. And let me explain. So if I'm a university and I'm making, hundreds of millions of dollars a year and just making money like Pablo Escobar, then a lot of these universities like Yale, Syracuse, where I used to teach, and a few other schools are right next, USC, for example, are right next to the hood. So when these universities have all this money, they're getting a stimulus check every week. They're buying Black neighborhoods. They're buying land in Black communities. So a lot of the gentrification that's happening in the United States is actually occurring from the universities. And then also what's really unfortunate is that if you really take a deep dive and analyze some of our HBCUs, let me just tell you, I did a lot of thinking on this back when I used to, work on the university plantation, and I was trying to leave Syracuse. I really badly wanted to teach at an HBCU, even with the pay cut. I was willing to take the pay cut. I went to, I think it was North Carolina Central, if I'm not mistaken, and also Howard. And I remember being kind of astonished by how few African Americans, how few descendants of slaves they actually hired in the business school at that time, particularly in the business school or in the sciences. And so I'm not really criticizing HBCUs, but I am speaking on something that I think is going to be a little bit uncomfortable. It's like invasive surgery. Surgery is not comfortable. It's not easy. It doesn't feel good to actually go in and do what you got to do. But you have to do that. You have to ask the hard questions. You have to offend some people. You can't. Some things you can't do. Just by being nice and easy. So a lot of our HBCUs need help. I remember when I got interviewed at Howard for the finance department, I was interviewed by a Chinese man, and this Chinese man was deciding if I, as a Black scholar who actually was trained by some of the best people in the world, would be a fit to teach Black students. He was from China. No disrespect to the Chinese. I taught in China, but I don't really know if they would allow African Americans to go to China and run their academic departments. Now, some of you are asking questions about me talking a little bit different. Right now, what is going on is I am trying to fix my dental health. I'm working through my own weakness, which was my teeth were not where they needed to be. So in order to open up my bite and do long-term repair on certain things regarding my dental health, I have a 6-month process. And so as a result, I'm going to be talking a little bit like this for a while, but who knows, maybe it'll help me enunciate my words more so that when people ask me about the same thing over and over and over again, I can answer them clearly enough that they're going to stop asking the question and focus on the goddamn conversation. I'm kidding. I'm being silly. Anyway, so that's what's going on in my life. So the benefit is when they did all the surgery, which took 14 hours to do, it was really, really difficult. They actually they put me on a liquid diet, and the liquid diet has caused me to lose some weight too. So not only will I have an improved smile and better physical health, but also I will have a much better body. I've lost 10 pounds already, and I love it, love it, love it. And I want to lose 30 pounds. So there you go. So if anybody comes in and says, what's going on with his teeth? Why is he talking funny? He looks different. What's going on? Just tell him, look, he got a dental procedure. Now be quiet and focus. See, that's why Black people, we be falling behind, because we can't focus on shit sometimes. Focus. Are we focused? Let's focus. All right. Anyway, let's focus. All right. So let me mention a couple things to you. First of all, I'm gonna mention something real quick on Twitter and let people know that we're live. That way, if people want to come in and ask me questions or whatever, they can. I'm doing this initial broadcast on the Black Financial Channel. So if you want to keep up with daily financial news and commentary from a guy who probably creates more content than anybody in the entire world. I don't know too many people that do more content than me. And I like this because I'm just productive. I was always like that when I was in undergrad. I believe that in order to win, in order to get ahead, you had to work harder. You had to be more productive. In graduate school, I was really challenged because I was in this PhD program where they had the smartest people in the world, the hardest working people in the world. There's nothing like sitting next to somebody who says, I got the third highest math score in all of China, and another guy who's from Russia who literally memorized the entire math book to the point where he can tell you what's on page 192, paragraph 2. Like there were people like that I had to compete with. And what happens is that when you're trying to compete, you push yourself to the absolute limit. So one of the things a piece of advice I would give anybody that really wants to be successful is try to learn how to push yourself to the limit. Like there's no rule saying that you have to take off on the weekends if you don't want to. If you love what you do, like I love what I do. This is me. This is who I am. This is not me working. I haven't worked a day in my life since probably 1995 when I had a job at Arby's. Like that was the last time I really worked. Since then, I've been having fun. I'm talking to my people. So find something you're passionate about and really let that passion flow. Let it out. Let your natural greatness come out by not separating your profession from who you are, from your life. I think that you can merge the two to the point where it's a beautiful work-life blend, and then you can just be the best you are by just being who you are. So that's my 2 cents. I'm not I don't take off on weekends, not because I'm a workaholic, but because it's fun for me. This is really fun. This is what I like to do in my spare time. So anyway. With that being said, I'm gonna put something on Twitter real quick, let people know that we're live. If you have a question, put it in the chat and I'll answer the question. I'm gonna answer them quickly. Give me 1-sentence questions. I'll give you a 1-sentence answer, so that way I can answer as many questions as possible. Give me 1 second here. All right. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and hit the thumbs up button, by the way. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please do that. All right. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, Dr. Boyce Watkins 1. If you're, but only follow me on Twitter if you're open-minded. Like I challenge your thinking every single day of the week, probably 30 times a day. So, my Twitter offends a lot of people, but I'm going to tell the truth. I'm a black man first, a finance professor second, and I believe that the only way you can solve the black wealth problem, which is the number one reason we created the Black Business School, was to solve the black wealth problem. That's our number one problem. That's our number one focal point. I believe that in order to solve that problem, you got to really dig deep. You got to do things different. You got to be radical as hell. You can't just try to fit in and go along and get along and think you're going to make progress. That ain't going to work. Not in America, not in a country that is built on that level of racism and white supremacy. It's just not going to work. I'm just telling you, if you're not upsetting the apple cart, if you're not making some people uncomfortable, if you're not disrupting things, then progress will not be made. So anyway, let's see here. I finally got a chance to watch it live. Hey, Jean, is that Genesier? Good to see you. Let's see. What do you think about SPAC? Yeah, SPACs. Yeah, special acquisition companies? Yeah, I think SPACs are good. SPACs are allowing for a broader range of business opportunities and investing possibilities. A lot of times with investing, it's really and maybe I just see it this way because I've thought about it for so long, so much, in so many different angles. But it really comes down to sort of you have your capital, you have your money, or your money that your income, and the goal is to say, like, where can I put this money where I can get a return on my investment? And sometimes our first thought is like, okay, I want to go start a company and run a business. Well, a lot of times you can actually get a really good ROI without even getting up out of bed, in the morning. So for example, I have businesses, right? And I some of those businesses I have run, some of them I pay other people to run. But I also found other ways to generate income, like writing call options. I took all my income. I don't waste money. I don't spend money on stupid stuff. Don't get me wrong. Scratch that. I do spend money on stupid stuff, but I only buy stupid stuff after I buy the smart stuff. Does that make sense? Like I only, it's like dessert. Like I only eat my chocolate cake after I've had my vegetables. So most of my money, the bulk of my income, goes into investing. So I learned, how much money I was able to generate for the family just by dumping my money into certain stocks and writing call options on those stocks, and that generate monthly income that way, which actually exceeds the rate of return that I get from the rental property that we own. Rental property is very physical. It's work, right? You gotta go meet lawyers and sign documents and hire companies to manage your property. I don't like managing property, so I had to hire a property manager. And the money that comes in is like a trickle. It's like, okay, I got to own a ton of these units in order for it to really make a difference. So I actually started allocating a lot of my money toward investing in specific stocks that allow me to write call options on those stocks, which is the equivalent of earning monthly income from my investment. And that's actually worked out pretty well. So you may want to look into options investing as a pathway for you to generate your income. One of the things I did for the students in the Black Business School that I think is really cutting edge and powerful, at least I've seen a lot of people doing this, is we put together an options curriculum. We have two things. One, we have an options masterclass that I did for 6 weeks. The recordings are still available if you go to the Black Business School, theblackbusinessschool.com. And then two, we have a monthly options program that people can join as well. And in that program, I don't just talk about buying options. Everybody knows how to buy options, right? Anybody can do that. But where the big reward actually came for me was selling options, but only selling them on specific companies. But then also structuring your portfolio in such a way that any additional risk you must incur in order to sell high premium options, you minimize that risk through diversification. So I put together a really cool process. I'm actually going to do a weekend summit on options investing. And I'm not going to lie, I have a bias. My bias actually is on the sell side more so than the buy side, because what's happened is that because Robinhood has gotten everybody investing, even people that don't know anything about investing are all geeked up about Robinhood. Well, they're all buying options because options give you a lot of leverage. Options allow you to put in $1 and get back $3 or $4 if you're lucky. So people like that because the gambling culture is really big. And a lot of people buy options for the same reason that they invest in these blessing looms. They call them susus, but they're not susus. These blessing looms. Where some people make money and some people don't, but it's a gamble. Like maybe I'm going to be one of the ones that actually makes money, right? Well, options kind of do the same thing, and everybody's on the buy side. So when everybody's buying, I'm the guy that wants to go sell. I like to do the opposite of what a lot of other people are doing. That's a basic rule of wealth. Warren Buffett follows that rule actually. And so when I saw everybody was buying options, and I saw which stocks, and there's a process. There's a formula that actually explains what a stock option price should be. It's very complicated. It's called the Black-Scholes option pricing model. And in this formula, there's a parameter called implied volatility. And so I said, okay, I know that when implied volatility is high, that the option premium is going to be high. So basically, we put together a process to sort stocks based on implied volatility, but then to also look for stocks that actually had specific characteristics to ensure that your investment is safe. And I do that. I do that myself. I wouldn't talk to my students about it unless I was doing it myself. That way, even though I know I'm not right about everything, at least if they go down bloody and burning, I'll be going down with them, right? I'm not telling them to do something I wouldn't do myself and that I wouldn't do for my own family. And so far, it has worked like a freaking charm. So far, it's been a great way. Like it generates enough income to the point where I don't even really have to take money out of my business anymore, because I actually sort of inadvertently created a side business by investing in stock and actually digging into the options thing. So there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's extremely important. If you ever want to give your children a gift that will last them for life, put them in a space where they're really going to learn how to make money and how money works. Because once you kind of learn these things, money is very easy to find if you know where it's at and you know how to get it. And if you don't know how to get it and you don't know where it's at, then you got to go back and go rewind hit the rewind button and look at your life and say, at what point was I ever taught how to obtain money? At what point did anybody ever even teach me this stuff? Did I spend, maybe 1,000 hours of my life? Think about this. You from the age of 0 to the age of 18, I always do the math. I always forget. I think that there's about, at least in the first decade, there's about 86,000 hours of your life in between age 0 and age 10. And then there's another 86,000 hours between age 0 and age 10 and age 20. So you're talking about 175,000 hours of life that you've lived to the age of 20. And my question would be, did you ever take time to learn how money works? I mean, think about this. I need y'all to really think outside the box. Get out of the box. Why would you have something? Money is like the most important thing in the world for a lot of people. I watch the world. I watch the internet. I watch how desperate people get for money. And I see people, doing crazy stuff for money. Young girls selling their bodies to get money, dating some creepy, horrible man just so they can get money. Kamala Harris married, her income went up when she married Doug Emhoff, right? And I wouldn't be surprised it's because Doug makes a lot of money, right? I look around and I see brothers going to prison to get money. I see people, kicking each other's asses to get money. So if money is that valuable and that relevant, rappers rap about money. If money matters that much to you, then why not dedicate your life to understanding the thing that matters the most to you? I mean, it's common sense. It's absolute common sense. So maybe it's too late for some of us. Maybe, I think it's not too late. I think you can start learning now, but it's really not too late for your kids. I think that you have to put a black-only, a B1, black-first methodology of thinking inside your own household. Like, you got to talk to your children in a way that's different from the way the world talks to black people, because, we get a lot of slave talk out here. We get a lot of status quo. A lot of people just telling us to just keep doing, do what Lil Pookie doing down the street. And Lil Pookie about to go to jail. Lil Pookie gonna be broke. Lil Pookie can't read. Lil Pookie, he's twerking and whatever. Like why would you imitate losers? Seriously, we got people that tell you to imitate losers, and they mass market losers to you. I tell you to copy the winners. Become a winner. Think like a winner. All right. So anyway, let me finish. Let me keep going. By the way, the All Black National Convention starts Friday at 5:00. I hope you guys will join us. If you're into Black First, All Black, All Black everything, that's what the All Black National Convention is all about. We got a lot of good people coming through, experts in all different kinds of areas, leaders, from Nuri Muhammad to Constance Carter, Tariq Nasheed, Vicky Dillard, etc. Ice Cube is not. I didn't ask Ice Cube to come in, not because I'm not a fan and a supporter of Cube, but I really want to use this as an opportunity to really express support for those in the community that don't have the same visibility, that are really doing the work. And I think Cube would agree with that. I mean, I'm going to bring, I'll probably bring him back on the channel at some point because I just love what he's doing. I just really love the idea that he's using his platform to elevate blackness. But I rather than disrupting his busy schedule, I decided I wanted to focus on the people that are right there in the trenches, doing the damn thing every day. The people that you should be paying attention to, like you should be paying attention to Jade Arendelle, who loves you, who's really hustling for you, hustling for black people. Your leaders are, the Nuri Muhammads and brothers like that, Dr. Wesley Muhammad. I mean, just these people that are just doing great work. And those need to be our superheroes. Those are the people that we should celebrate. Anyway, let me keep going. So by the way, if you want to go to the convention, the URL is allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Could somebody type it in for me? That way I can pin the URL. Because if I got big fingers and I'll mess it up. So if somebody could type allblacknationalconvention.com in the chat, I could pin it. And then that way everybody can see the URL. It starts Friday at 5:00. And I think you're going to be really happy that you came out. All right. So what do I think about Roth IRAs? Roth IRAs are the thing that I do after I max out my traditional IRAs. But Roth IRAs are better than straight up investing. Tax deferred investing is really important, particularly given that we're expecting a blue wave or a Biden presidency, which is going to increase taxes. They're going to increase taxes on you guys, and that's okay. I don't think that's a bad thing, to be honest with you, because I personally think that those who are either wealthy or doing what wealthy people do should should pay more in taxes. I do feel that way. I think that the capital gains taxes are not high enough in this country. And so thank you guys for typing the URL. I pinned it so everybody can see it. I think that the wealthy should pay more taxes, and the thing is, you may not be wealthy now, but I know from just, being a financial scientist and doing all the research and seeing the data that your behavior, if you're an investor, at some point you will be wealthy. It's almost like if you have a little 13-year-old and he starts shoplifting at the age of 13, and then he's hanging out with the dope dealers and whatever, like, he's on his way to jail. He just ain't a full-grown criminal yet. You see what he's becoming. Well, the same thing is true when you're a young investor or you're a baby investor. You're taking, you might be making, $300 a week, but you're taking 100 out of that 300 and you're putting it into stocks or whatever. Well, you're a baby investor, but at some point you're going to be a full-grown investor and you're going to be doing better than a lot of your friends, right? So basically, the fact that you guys are taking the first step toward becoming rich people, some of you, which the first step of becoming rich is to imitate rich people and to do what rich people do. They're going to increase your taxes. But it's still going to be fine for you. Also, the other reason that it's that a Biden presidency is going to be fine for the market is not just because people who invest tend to do well under Democratic and Republican administrations, but also I'm hoping there's a blue wave. Like, I hope that if Biden gets elected, that we just have Democrats controlling all branches of government because they're going to push the biggest stimulus package ever. Right, they're gonna be aiming for $3 trillion on the stimulus bill, and guess what's gonna happen instantly when they make that announcement? All your stocks are gonna go kaboom. Your stocks are gonna shoot through the roof because here's the deal. Here's a reality of America that a lot of people don't want to accept. America is a country that is partly built on survival of the fittest. The hustlers get ahead. The cream rises to the top. The people that go for it are the ones that are gonna get it. You can't get it if you don't go for it. If you sit back and wait for it, how do you think, if you're sitting back and waiting for it, how do you think you're going to get it before somebody who goes out and gets it? That doesn't make any sense. If there's a chicken sandwich sitting on the table over there and my daughter runs to get it and I just sit back and wait for it, who do you think is going to eat first? She's going to eat first. So the people that go get it, they eat first. So I'm really more of a person, I have a bias. I'm not real good at confirming your victimhood. I'm not really good at reminding you of how powerless you are. I'm a person that's going to remind you of the fact that I believe you have infinite power if you put that in your mind. I'm marrying a woman that is deep into metaphysics, and I believe deeply that what you could repeatedly tell yourself is going to manifest itself in your life. So I'm here to just tell you, be a go-getter. Go get yours. It's out there for you. Just work with people that think that way. That's the best way to succeed in America. So when that stimulus package comes through, don't matter if the Democrats are running Congress or the White House, or the Republicans are running Congress. Whoever's running whatever package they push through, the go-getters are going to get their money first. When they write that $3 trillion stimulus package, sure, some of that money will trickle down for sure, and I hope a lot of it does. But the go-getters, the corporations, are going to just pivot. And they're going to pivot and say, okay, the money's over here. Let's go over here. The money's over there. Let's go over there. You see, and that's a mindset. That is an approach to wealth that I don't see so much with some of our young people, because they were raised to play football and basketball and weren't taught to go, how to go get the money. You got to learn that. It's very important. It's basic. It's a simple idea. Let's see here. You said a mouthful talking that 13-year-old. Oh, well, I'm glad the analogy works. You can't contribute to a Roth IRA after maximizing a traditional IRA. The maximum contribution for both is $6,000. Yeah, that is true. Good point, George. Thank you for laying that down. I am not a tax accountant. I talk to my accountants about my IRAs and 401ks and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not real good at specific rules and things like that. As you can tell, I break rules all the time. But I do know that tax deferred investing is better. Like you should max out your tax deferred investing before you get deep into regular investing. So if you get a job and they offer you a 401k, the best wealth move you can make is to put as much money into your 401k as you possibly can. I know a lady who was born in the hood and poorer than all of us, I'm sure. She was so poor they didn't have a refrigerator. And literally, they did not have a refrigerator. For the winter, they had to put their food on the front porch to keep it cold. So that was how poor they were. And all she basically did, she never even learned about wealth. but she did some basic things. One, her mama didn't waste time on foolishness. She wasn't learning how to twerk and spend, her mama didn't spend money on cheerleading, more money on cheerleading camp than she spent on her education. Her mama kept her in the library and kept her learning. So she got a scholarship, went to college. She went into a field. I forgot what it was, psychology or something. It wasn't like a high paying field. But when she got that first job, two things were going on. One, she didn't have a ton of student loan debt like a lot of other students. She only borrowed what she needed. Number two, they asked her how much to put in her 401k. She maxed it out because that's what her dad told her to do. So she maxes out her 401k. And then when she gets an apartment, she starts saving her money because she was a natural saver. And then her dad also said, make sure you buy a house, own a home as soon as you can. So she bought a home as soon as she could. And by about the age of 40, she was pretty close to being a millionaire because if you took the value of her home, because her home value doubled over the next decade or whatever. So if you take the equity that she had in her house and you added that to the money that she put in her 401k and you subtract her debt, it was a little over $1 million. And I said, you're a millionaire now. And she was like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know anything about money. I don't even care about money. Money doesn't even matter to me. I don't own a business, And I was like, no, you don't have to do all that in order to become a millionaire. Millionaire status is as easy as 2 + 2 is 4. Right. And the reason that a lot of folks don't reach financial security is because they're doing the wrong math. The math that exists in our culture is 2 minus 50 is negative 48. Just starting with student loans, among many things, this idea that like I must get this college education, even if I put myself in so much debt that I'll never repay it for the rest of my life. And also I'm going to take on this debt without even thinking about whether or not my profession is going to give me the economic capacity to repay this debt. That right there is economic suicide. Like that is economic financial suicide because you're basically going in. Almost like playing baseball, and you're about to hit the ball, and you just close your eyes and swing. You're not going to hit the ball if you close your eyes and swing. So a lot of folks go to college and they close their eyes and swing. They say, okay, well, Mr. White Man been telling me that if I go to a university and get this piece of paper, that some other white man will pay me good money, right? And so you walk in there and you go and you borrow all this debt. You never learn anything about economics. Nobody ever taught you how to invest, how to save. You've been absorbing this stupid culture out here. A lot of the hip hop culture that's telling you to go waste your money and throw it up at the club and buy Gucci and get red bottoms and Air Jordans and all this other stuff. So you're already in the wrong mindset financially to the point where even if I handed you 10 grand, you're not going to turn that 10 grand into 20 grand because you're not thinking like an investor. You're going to take that 10 grand and turn it into 1 grand. And it's going to happen in about 3 days, right? So, and then on top of that, you're also packing on the debt. You packed on, $150,000 in debt for your degree in social work or something. And so you're going out into the world. First of all, the white man that was supposed to show up and give you that super high paying job, he doesn't show up because the jobs are not available like they used to be. Number two, you're going out in the terrain like 20 miles behind in the game already because you're saddled with all this debt. Number three, you're coming in with the wrong culture and the wrong thinking when it comes to economics, even to the point where if somebody was to offer you a bunch of money, you wouldn't know what to do with it. You would go and do what the culture is telling you to do. The culture is telling you to stay broke. It's a stay broke culture. That's what it is, right? And then on top of that, most importantly, you've never learned any of the tools of economic strength. You've never learned any of the strategies that allow you to build wealth or to get out of your situation. You don't know nothing about how to start no business so you can quit that horrible job. You haven't learned anything about how to invest in the stock market. I show people how to invest in the stock market in 10 minutes. I swear to God, I kid you not. But it's because I'm a financial scientist. I obsess over these things. I think about these things. So I was like, how do I teach an 8-year-old how to invest in the stock market in 4 minutes? I could do that. I could show an 8-year-old how to start investing in the stock market in 4 minutes. If it's that simple, then why do so many of our people have no idea what to do? I mean, seriously, hey, why? Explain that to me. A lot of it's because you're getting the wrong information and you're getting the wrong education. If you want to know, by the way, I should mention this. Those of you who are asking about this, how to learn how to invest in 10 minutes. I have a free training. Go to firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. Firstshareofstock.com. That video's been viewed almost 1 million times, and all the comments are like, "Oh my God, this is so simple. Oh my God, you made it so easy. Oh my God, this is the best video I've ever seen." And I was really happy to see that because I achieved my goal. My goal was to take stuff that is normally seen as complicated and figure out a way to teach this to the masses in a very quick fashion. And this comes from the fact that I've already done the hard work. I've already studied the most advanced, most complicated, most mathematically sophisticated financial theories on the planet. That's what you do when you get a PhD in finance. You climb to the highest intellectual mountain when it comes to economics. Like there's no stone unturned when you're studying something 8 hours a day, 7 days a week for 10 years straight. It's you see a lot of stuff. But then what happens is now you've gone through all this terrain and you form a map in your head. And then you're like, okay, I can see the whole terrain and I know exactly where the gold is buried. Okay, so I can come in and say, don't worry about all of that. Like, I know your financial advisor. That's what you have. You have a lot of people that maybe they were a financial advisor, or they worked on Wall Street, or they were a stockbroker, and they in order to impress you and to sound really smart, they'll use all these really fancy terms to confuse you. And I'm the guy who's like, no, actually the gold is buried here and here and here. And I can show you that in about 5 minutes. Okay, so feel free to go to firstsharestock.com. And a lot of that whole training process is built on a theory, actually, back in 1974. Burton Malkiel, he wrote a book called A Random Walk Down Wall Street. And he basically showed that you can actually train monkeys to invest and build wealth. I kid you not, a monkey can learn how to invest. He did this. He did the experiment with monkeys. And I got to double check because I think he won a Nobel Prize on this. I should know that by now. But if he didn't, he was considered for one, because it just astonished people. It's like, wait a minute, investing is complicated. Everybody can't do it. It's hard. You have to go to Harvard. No, you don't. You just don't. It's not that complicated. But there are things you have to understand so that you can know how to avoid certain landmines, right? So anyway, feel free to go. Firstsharestock.com. Feel free to take a look. All right. So let's see here. This is church. Yeah, I didn't mean to start preaching. How much did that PhD cost you? Probably about $300,000. I went deep in debt, and I don't regret having a doctorate because it's worked for me in a lot of ways. But the thing was, my doctorate really didn't work for me. I had to work it. I really had to work it because even when I got a PhD, it was really like, if you want to understand where I'm coming from, like when I say crazy stuff online, you're really listening to a traumatized Black man in certain ways. I'm traumatized in the sense that, and when you go through trauma, it changes your perspective. You start, you learn these lessons, and you're like, wait a minute, oh man, that doesn't work. And so my traditional path was to get all this education, and I knew that the more education I had, the more I would make on my job. I could make more money with more training. The problem was I didn't really know that I'm not really cut out to really work for racist white people. It doesn't work well for me. It's never gone well for me. I get into fights, and so what happened was I got my PhD, and I was like, man, I'm gonna put as much effort into this. I was a hustler. I mean, I was 25. I was hustling. I wasn't out getting into no BS. I was studying every day. I had a girlfriend. I just needed one. I didn't need 10. And I was like, I'm going to get as much education as I possibly can so that I am just the baddest son of a bitch in the world at what I do. And I did. I was very good at what I did. I sat with the smartest people on the planet in my field, and I went toe to toe with all of them. And so when I finally finished, I was a hot commodity technically. Right. I mentioned to you guys before, there was no other African American on the planet that I knew of anywhere. And I still, to this day, still haven't anywhere that got a PhD in finance that year. So we all went into the job market. There's a lot of white people that, they have the credentials, but I did not see any other African Americans, male or female, that year in 2002. So, I go into the job market, and I'm thinking, okay, this is it. I made it. Like, I did it, and it was worth it. I didn't have any regrets about the debt or anything. But the problem was that I'm still a Black man. And the problem was that I did not factor in the implicit trade-offs that you have to make when you go into these spaces. They let you in. I see racism a little bit differently from other people, or even racial prejudice, which are two different things. Racism is a system. Racial prejudice is an individual's feelings about you or whatever. But I see it differently from the way I used to see it. I don't think that they just dislike Black people just because we're Black. I think that they tolerate Black people as long as you understand who's in control. As long as you understand that if you're in his house, he's going to make the rules. So just, leave your culture, leave who you are, leave your values at the door, and just be like us, and we'll let you in. And that's not really diversity, right? That's just letting, that's like saying we'll accept white people that with black skin, right? But we're always accepting white people because you have to kiss the ring and do what we do and be like us. And that was the part I didn't understand. I thought that, Syracuse University, for example, I thought that they really wanted me because I was a black man. And then later on, my later perspective was that they wanted me despite the fact that I was a black man. Right. And so when I would behave like a black man, in my view of what I thought a black man did, I felt like a black man should do things for the black community. They weren't with that. They didn't get that, and the thing is, I'm not even mad at them for that, because I learned some hard truths about life that you don't learn as a black person, which is that we live in a very competitive world, and power means more than almost anything. Power means a lot more than civil rights. Power means more than whether or not somebody likes you. Power just means having the ability to shape how things are going to happen in a given space, and when it comes to power, it's sort of one of those things where I stopped caring about whether or not people liked me. I started just saying, I'll just accumulate power. If I have power, then even people who don't like me are going to have to acknowledge and respect me. Or if I have territory that is mine, if you come in my territory, you will follow my rules, period. And so I accept that, when white folks do whatever white folks do, it doesn't offend me. It's like, okay, you got your power. That's your space. I'm just going to make sure I avoid spaces where you have power, because our values are going to conflict and it's going to be messy. So I had to work my PhD, meaning that once I started to come to these realizations and I started to fight the power, right, from the inside, it became a shit show. I was blackballed. I couldn't. I had all the credentials. My resume was pretty powerful, and I would even go to universities. I went to Morehead State University. I wanted to teach there possibly and leave Syracuse because I wanted to come back to Kentucky and be closer to my daughter. And I went to that school and I interviewed at that school. Check this out. This is really interesting. This just tells you the truth about this diversity talk. In terms of really what's really going on. They did not have one single African-American male professor on the entire campus, not one. So out of heaven, out of the blue, they get this guy who's not just an African-American male, but I'm more qualified than damn near everybody on the campus. I went to Ohio State University to finish my doctorate. I worked under a guy named Renee Stoltz, another guy named Andrew Caroli, who are among the best in the world. I think Stoltz is the highest paid person at Ohio State University as far as faculty goes, or in the business school anyway. Highest paid guy there because he's world famous. Andrew Caroli is at Cornell. Last time I checked, he's the department chair of whatever or something. He's either chair or dean or some shit. I don't know. I got to look it up. But these are great guys. I work with them. And so I'm here, right? In fact, I was at a level where they were like, why would you even want to go to a school like that? And I didn't care about that. I was like, I just want to get a job somewhere so I can do what I want to do. And so I go to this university. I go to Morehead State and I do an interview. And they're super excited. They're like, wow, here's a black man, because they claim to look for qualified black people. So they're like, oh my God, here's this black guy. He's a nice guy. He's smart. He knows what he's talking about. He can really add value to our faculty. And they're pretty much talking to me as if I had the job. Like you would have swore that I was going to get hired next week. Like they were like, oh yeah, we can do this. And all you gotta do is fill out the paperwork and then you can start. Can you start next semester? Like it was stuff like that. And then when I went home, they Googled me. And apparently they had some conversations, and next thing you know, it's like, oh well, yeah, that position is not available anymore, or we just didn't think it was a good fit. That's what they would do, and that happened on a regular basis. It didn't just happen there, and that's when I learned, like, okay, in order for me to really get value from this PhD, I have to work my PhD. If you have a PhD, you're supposed to be smart. If you have a PhD and you're not smarter than people who don't have a PhD, meaning better at what you do, then you didn't get a real PhD. A lot of people have fake PhDs. And I meet a lot of stupid ass people who are like, oh, I have a doctorate. And I'll be thinking in my head, no, you don't. You went to a 6-week summer program or somebody gave you an honorary doctorate, because a PhD is supposed to give you extensive and powerful analytical skill that allows you to almost go to a fourth and fifth dimension that other people can't go to. Like if you can't do that, if you don't have an intellectual superpower by the time you finish your doctorate, that tells me you didn't really go to a real program. Seriously. So my thought was, well, let me just work this. If I'm supposed to be so smart, right? If I'm supposed to be so skilled and qualified, then I need to be able to go out into the world and make my way and make it work. And once I committed myself to that and accepted the fact that I cannot speak about race and race issues and then ask a white man to sign a paycheck for me, I just went and put things together. And as a result, I was immensely more successful than I ever would have been under their umbrella. I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm not even bitter at all about what happened with Syracuse and me leaving. It was a shit show. It was a big mess, but I have no bitterness about it at all because my life is so much better. I mean, I laugh when my friends at Syracuse tell me how much money they make. I've done things around the world that they can only dream about. And so I kind of feel like it's like I was born 8 feet tall and I was trying to fit into a room where the ceiling was only 7 feet or 6 feet off the ground. So I kept bumping my head on the ceiling. I kept bumping my head on the glass ceiling. And that means you got to go outside. Like that's it. You got to go outside and build a bigger house. So but we're scared to do that, right? We'll sit in there and we'll crouch down so we can make other people comfortable. I had to do that. I interviewed at a HBCU. It was a Prairie View. I didn't interview them. I'm sorry. I talked to one of the faculty there about me coming there to teach. And because I wanted to teach at HBCU really bad back in the day. And it was going to be a big pay cut. It was like literally, tell you how stupid I was, it was going to be more work for less money. And one thing that she said, that turned me off, well, she said, well, it might make the other faculty uncomfortable that you're doing all these public things. So we're going to need you to tone that down and to kind of shut that down so that you can fit in better. And I was like, I can't do that. Like, I can't minimize who I am. I believe God meant for me to shine, and I'm okay. I say that humbly, but God wants me to shine. And you're telling me to dim my own light, which is really the first step toward extensive amounts of depression and regret and everything else. I was like, no, I can't do that. I cannot make myself dumber, weaker, and smaller just because you got a bunch of small-minded ass people who can't handle Black excellence, who don't know what that looks like, who don't know what Black courage looks like, who don't know what masculinity looks like, who don't know what true scholarly pursuit actually looks like. I can't fit into that. So that was what led me to not end up at Prairie View. I told the lady, I said, thank you, but no, thank you. I can't do that. I'll let you cut my pay. Like I'll take 1/3 of what I'm making in Syracuse, but I'm not going to go there and let you tell me that because everybody else is weak and lazy and stupid, that I got to fit in to wherever they are. So long story short, the PhD, it was expensive. I don't regret it, but if I could do it over again, you know what I would have done instead? I would have just took 2 years and spent all that time doing nothing but studying how to be an entrepreneur. That's all I would have did. I would have studied how to be an entrepreneur, how to make money. Literally, I would have went to seminars on how to make money. I would have I would have paid millionaires to mentor me. I would be sitting in with rich people who have the hookup on everything. If you know how to spot opportunity and you understand how to make money and you're around a bunch of other people that are just like you gonna be paid. Money will come to you. It will come. It's like if Cardi B is around a bunch of hookers and strippers, like it's going, eventually it's going to pop off, right? There's going to be some sex. There's going to be some party. There's going to be some music. There's going to be some twerking, right? Somebody going to pull out a stripper pole. Like your environment will shape your culture. So what I encourage you to do is get around people that can kind of fit and understand like what it is that you do and who you are and what it is that you love. And I can just tell you, if you want to learn how to make money, in my opinion, study it, obsess over it, watch videos, take classes, whatever. And then, because that's better, that'll give you more value than some of these college degrees. Some of these universities are handing out cheap paper, and then get into spaces like identify people who are similar to you and form healthy relationships with these people. Learn from them what you can. Like a lot of times we lose a lot of wealth when we destroy relationships, like we burn bridges, like I've seen that. I've had times where I made the mistake where I burned bridges with people where if I had kept building with them, we could have done amazing things. And then I can also think of times where because somebody maybe got mad at me, they burned a bridge with me. And I would just sit here and I think, wow, like, I don't know if you know what kind of mistake you made, because if we had just sat down and we had a good conversation, I think I could really help you right now. There was one lady who was trying to do some stuff. I'm not gonna say what it is because I don't want to identify this person, but we got into a disagreement, and she handled it in a terrible, terrible way, in my opinion, and it got really, really messy. And then later on, when it got to the point where I just knew I couldn't be her friend anymore for legal reasons, etc., I was thinking, gosh, if you had just came and talked to me, I could have, I think I could really help you. Like, I really want, Alicia got mad at me, and I said, I wish I could help her on this thing, because I know this is really important to her. And she's like, Boyce, you can't do that. And so what I would just say to you is, learn how to handle your disagreements with people. Like, don't fly off the handle on people unless it's absolutely necessary. Maybe sometimes you can just be quiet. Somebody does something that's stupid, or they start acting a fool, or you got to distance yourself. Then maybe you can do it in a subtle way without making it into a big thing where now the bridge is burnt. Now you can't even pick up the phone and call that person if you need something. And I'll just tell you that knowing the right people when you need things to get done can make all the difference in the world. It can take a hard problem and make it very, very easy. Do me a favor, if you're watching on the Black Financial Channel, please hit the thumbs up button. Everybody right now, please take a second, hit the thumbs up button. Also, don't forget the All Black National Convention is next weekend. It starts on Friday. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com to get your pass. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. We have some really good guests coming through. On Friday night, attorney Nicole Compton is going to do a session on how to get your business off the ground. She's really good. She's a business startup specialist and a lawyer, so she can teach you a lot of great stuff. We're also going to have political commentary from people like Jade Arundel, who's going to lead panels on the 2020 election. So it's a mix of wealth, Black power, pursuing your purpose. Dr. Nicole Price is going to be there. Nuri Muhammad, Dr. Ahmadiyya Shakur, Tina Berry, Lamar Tyler, who is Ebony Magazine's Power 100. He's a 2-comma club winner. He also runs a group called Traffic Sales and Profit that's full of Black millionaire entrepreneurs. A lot of them who are making 7 figures a year in their business. A lot of them start off just like you and I. Rebecca Samuels, who's a CPA, really smart. Noma Langum, Mushali Moses. Let's see who else is on here. Julian Gordon, who's actually leading a group of Black investors to buy up a big chunk of Black Baton Rouge. He's going to talk about that. Mary Dean, who's an attorney on Fly Nubian Queen. Jeff Lightsey Jr., who's a sports expert. I call him Lil Stephen A. Rick Mathis, the filmmaker out of Atlanta, a great guy. And Faye Bishop, who's an excellent thought leader. And Teslin Figueroa, who's a national political analyst and host of Straight Shot, No Chaser podcast. You might have seen Teslin Figueroa. She's been on a lot of TV shows and stuff like that. So we got a lot of really good people coming through. And the key idea with the All Black National Convention is that it truly is all Black. There's no corporate sponsors. There's no sponsorship from either the Democratic or Republican parties. So unlike a lot of other conventions, NAACP, Urban League, CBC, this is done by Black people. Like, we're doing this ourselves. Like, we're not getting any funding from outside sources or anything like that. So that's what makes it really special and awesome. And nobody tells us what to say. Nobody tells us who we can invite. None of that. Let's see here. Let's see. Umar is a good dude, but could use that advice. Yeah, I'm just gonna say I agree. I wish we could have worked together more. But I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about that. I want to upgrade my studio room and recording equipment. I think that's a good investment. Don't overspend on that, though. You can get a lot of good microphones and really good cameras for a very low price. We met behind the stage in Atlanta. Oh, hey, what's going on, Khalil? Good to see you, brother. Nice to see you. Yeah, Atlanta, Tariq's conference. It was Foundational Black Americans. Graduated in December, still don't have a job. I said I need to invest and become an entrepreneur. Yeah, spend that time. Remember this. Here's one thing you got to understand. And a lot of Black folks don't get this, is that you are a valuable commodity even when white people don't want you, right? Like, a lot of times if we don't have a job or somebody hasn't hired us to do what we love or what we're good at, we think that either means we're not good at it or that that there's no value there. But just understand that when they hire you for that job and they pay you money, they're paying for your time and for your skill, because they see value there. You know, they're going to pay you $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year, whatever, because the value is there, right? And so when they don't come pick up the value is still there. They just haven't converted it into a paycheck. So that means the value is there for you. You know, it's like if there's a frozen steak in the refrigerator or in the freezer, and I say, Alicia, can you make this steak for me, babe? And if she cooks it and I'm like, oh my God, that was a juicy, delicious steak, right? But then let's say the next day or a week later, there's another frozen steak. And I'm like, hey, babe, can you make this steak for me? And she says, I'm sorry, I can't. I got to go to work. Well, the steak is still there. There's still good food in the refrigerator. I just have to learn how to cook it. I shouldn't say like, well, damn, I was hungry. I starved today because there was no food for me to eat. No, there was food for me to eat. I just have to learn how to cook. I have to learn how to translate a frozen steak into, you know, a cooked, juicy, delicious steak so that I can still eat. And who knows, if I really take the time to learn how to cook, maybe I'll watch YouTube videos. How do you cook a steak? Call some friends, ask Alicia to give me some instructions. Who knows? Maybe I can actually make the steak better for myself than she could have made it. You know, and what happens a lot of times is, and I know this because I've gone through this, where, you know, like I was blackballed from academia. I mean, I really got to the point where white people did not want to hire me. A lot of these universities, they're just racist. That's what it is. And so I had to realize, like, wait a minute, I'm still brilliant. I'm still damn good at what I do. I just have to take my talent and find a way to monetize my talent. I got to take the raw materials and cook it. And so that's what led me, you know, down a discovery of doing things online and building businesses and stuff like that. And what happened was, not only did I cook the frozen steak as well as the white man would have cooked it, I cooked it better. It's better. Like now, I don't want him to cook my steak anymore. Now there is no, and I'm not kidding when I say this. I kid you not. There is no university job anywhere on earth that I have ever seen that I would take over what I'm doing right now. None. Number one, they would not be able to pay me enough. Number two, I would have to actually leave the house every day, which I don't want to do. Number three, I will be teaching a bunch of white kids in the classroom, which I don't want to do. I can teach 100,000 black people whenever I want. Why would I trade freedom for really comfortable slavery? I never would. So sometimes when you can't get what you want, that is really your opportunity to chase a bigger dream. When your house burns down, the little tiny house you were trying to live in, when that house burns down, that's your opportunity to go build a mansion. You know, it's like don't get so caught up in what the white man took away from you that you don't realize he might have done your black ass a favor by freeing you from the plantation, by kicking you out, pushing you out the nest. Stop getting comfortable in slavery. You ain't supposed to be a slave. In fact, the biggest curse that ever could have happened to me, the worst thing that white people could have done to me was to be nice to me. The worst thing they could have done is to have identified my talent before I identified my talent, because then they would have benefited from all the hard work that I put in. They would have been the ones who could say, look, we've got this black person who's at Syracuse University and he's amazing. He's on TV. He's famous. Right. And then they would have made millions of dollars from all these students that would want to come. Even when I was at Syracuse, even then, way back in the infancy of my public career, black students were coming to Syracuse to learn from me. They were like, where's that black guy I saw on TV? I was a multi-million-dollar asset that they had right there on their plate. Now, they were stupid. Racism makes you stupid. They didn't see what the value of what they had. They were too concerned about the controversy. But I look back at that and I say, my God, thank you so much for letting me go. You know, just like a bad relationship, you know, you up here because your self-esteem is not intact, you begging some piece of shit man, like ladies, you begging some shitty man to take you back. And you don't realize that there's a better man out there for you, but you can't even see him because you focus on this loser asshole in front of you. Seriously, or same thing with the fellas. Like I can think of times where I was chasing some girl. I had this ugly, really ugly, annoying girlfriend in college. I'm not even gonna say her name, but she wasn't that pretty. She wasn't smart. And she wasn't a good human being. And she wasn't even that. You know, I said she wasn't pretty. Yeah, just mediocre as hell. And but because I just thought I was in love with this woman, when she walked away, I remember being so sad and baby, please come back. And I'm bringing her flowers every day, which made me look that much more pathetic. And I just look back at that and I think, oh my God, I wish I had a time machine so I could go back and just tell this dude, like, stop it. like there's better stuff out here for you. Let's get you. You're addicted to unhealthy crack. Not even the good crack. You're addicted to the bad crack. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, get your self-esteem together so we can find you a quality woman who's going to appreciate what you're bringing to the table. Like never, ever give yourself to someone or something that does not appreciate the value of what you are and what you have. I just, don't get me wrong. I mean, don't be an arrogant asshole. Always keep your humility. Because a lot of people think they're the shit and they're really not. You think you're the shit, but you really are shit. Or you treat people in a shitty way, but you just really think that you're special and you can make no mistakes. That's wrong too. Don't get caught in that trap. But if you are genuinely making an effort to really be there for somebody and really go out of your way to be the best person you can be, and they just don't see the value, don't even get offended. Just say, okay, thank you for your time. I wish you the best. I'm going to just take this and I'm just going to take this elsewhere. That's it. That's what you do. You don't get into this whole like, oh, you don't realize what you got and why are you doing this to me? Fuck it. They don't like you. They don't want you. It's okay. You're going to be all right. The question is not whether or not they want you. The question is, do you want you? Maybe the reason you're upset that they don't want you is because you don't want you. Because when they don't want you, then all you got is you, and you're there, and you've been handed back to yourself. Who you are has been handed right back to you, and you don't want that because you think that what you have is worthless. Because if you saw value in what you had, like if I have a check for $1 million and I try to give it to my cousin and I say, look, just give me $5,000 and I'll give you this check for $1 million, and my cousin doesn't want it, and then I shouldn't be offended. As long as the check is good, and I can say, well, okay, well, if you don't want it, that's cool. I'm gonna keep this money for myself now, right? So just understand that options have value. When somebody releases you from a situation, even if it's against your will, what they've handed you is the option, the ability, the freedom to go take that asset, which might be your person, it might be your credentials, it might be whatever. And you can then go take that to another place where you can get more value from whatever it is that you have. So don't get offended. Just keep moving. You got to always keep moving. The way to kill your negotiating power is when you keep going back to the person that doesn't want you and begging them, and you keep making price concessions to get them to keep you, right? Like because you really feel like you need that job, you do anything to keep the job. You let them cut your pay, you let them disrespect you or whatever. Or you keep going with it, or we're coming back to the Democratic Party, or we're coming back to that person that doesn't love us. We keep cutting our pay. We allow them to cut our pay. Like okay, you disrespecting me, you're peeing on me, you're mistreating me, you're doing all these terrible things. But we'll tolerate all of that because we don't see the value of who we are and what we have. So see your value. Like if you see your value and you see your worth, and you pursue your possibilities in an unapologetic way and in a fearless way, good things typically happen. They really do. I just really think, but then again, maybe that's just my testimony. Because that's exactly how things happen in my life. I cannot think of a single time in a relationship or in business or in anything where somebody rejected what I offered and I did not find a better opportunity somewhere else. I kid you not. I really cannot. Professionally, I now make 10 times more money than I made when I was at Syracuse. Personally, when I got rejected by that crappy woman in college, the woman that I'm marrying now is like on a fucking another planet in terms of every measuring stick of quality that you can name. Like I'm literally, when I say I'm marrying like the woman of my dreams, I'm not kidding. Like this woman is somebody that I would have picked out of a fucking crowd. Seriously, I'm just telling you guys, man, it's like confidence and believing in yourself, and you got to practice that. Confidence is a choice. It is a decision. It doesn't always feel right, but when you commit to that, almost like a religion, like I'm just going to keep bettering myself. I'm never going to give up. I love myself. I'm great the way I am. Like these mantras. Again, she's metaphysical, and I'm a little metaphysical too. Mantras that you repeat to yourself will shape your reality. Whatever you repeat to yourself will manifest yourself. I guarantee it. So if you're constantly manifesting fear, or excuse me, or if you're constantly, repeating and reciting things that are based on fear or limitations or self-doubt or negativity, then those things are going to manifest themselves. So be very conscious about what you say to yourself on a daily basis, because that's going to shape everything in your life. All right. I didn't mean to keep yapping. Why haven't you married her yet? We were going to get married this past July, but COVID caused us to push the wedding back to next July. And if COVID continues, we'll probably just do a private ceremony. I want to do something big. I wanted to have everybody there, and we picked our favorite church and all this stuff. But we may not do that. COVID's kind of changed everything. And why didn't I marry her sooner? Well, I'd known her for a long time, but you can't marry somebody who's married to somebody else. Let me just say that. But I wasn't sitting and waiting for her to, divorce her husband or anything. Her husband's actually a very nice guy. He's an excellent co-parent. It just, life happens, and I like the guy a lot, and things happen. But it wasn't. But I'm not in some sinister stuff like, oh, I'm going to take your wife or something. That wasn't the way it was at all. But of course, I'm sure the internet will decide how to create a nice little rumor with that. Let's see, Doc. Know your history first. Keep God and Yahweh first. Absolutely. You two are a beautiful couple. Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for me before? Let's see. Somebody tell me the website that something investing. You mean teaches investing? It was firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. So feel free to go take a look at that. Let's see. What are your thoughts on index funds? I think they're a great way to get rich on autopilot. I see a lot of people use index funds, and they, it's a great way to set it and forget it. You don't have to think about it. King of Bakersfield. Thanks for everything, Doc. Thank you, King. I appreciate your kind words. Trenton. Yes, I'm considering XLY options. Oh, I forgot to mention, there's a class that we made for free in the Black Business School. If you kind of like this stuff, like I like to share perspectives and give advice, just because I want to help you. If you're looking for confidence or strategies or whatever, I love to share those things. So I had this program called Black Keys to Greatness, and what we did was, instead of having a fee on it, we literally made it free. So if you want to go get a lifetime membership in the program now, you can. And it's great because I literally broke down life and success strategies, like how to be successful, how to be happy, how to get what you want. So feel free to go take a look. You can go to blackkeystogreatness.com. That's blackkeystogreatness.com. Let's see here. Yes. Where do I start my first brokerage account? You can use a lot of the apps, Robinhood, Stash, Acorn. Can we do a joint travel to Congress? I don't know. I'm kind of like Ice Cube was in that song, No Vaseline, when he said, "I'll never have dinner with the president." Like I ain't trying to. I don't like politicians or hanging out with them like that. I will support things I believe in, and if the politicians want to work with that, they can. But I'm not interested in being overly political or getting involved in politics directly. Like, I'm not going to run for office or anything like that. Should I make the most out of my portfolio? That contract. I don't know if that. I'm sorry, Trenton. I can't understand the question. XLY. Should I make it the majority of my portfolio? Oh no, I don't think you should make anything the majority of your portfolio. The first rule of investing is spread your money out. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Is it ethical for me to start a GoFundMe for my recording business, or should I build my own capital? No, I think it's okay. What you might want to do in order to alleviate any concerns you may have is offer people something. It's easier to do a trade than charity. Charity will always trump trade. Not one. Well, I shouldn't use the word Trump. That's just such a loaded word these days. But charity is harder to do than trade. So it's much more difficult to get somebody to give you $10 for nothing than it is to get them to spend $30 on a product. So consider what you can offer them. See what you can give them that will allow them to feel like they're getting something out of the deal. You don't want to just live off charity your whole life. You're not a charity case. I'm not a believer in that. I don't think charity is a sustainable business model or sustainable economic model, because what it does is it creates, one party becomes dependent on the charity. The other party becomes drained from the charity. A lot of NBA players go broke because they're doing charity with all these relatives. And my thought is, if you got a cousin who's 28 years old and he's healthy and he's got, free time, 80, 100 hours a week of free time, then that is an asset that is worth tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Do like LeBron, send him to school, get him trained on something so he can join your staff. Then you can pay him a salary. That way he has his dignity and you're getting something out of the damn deal. Charity is not the best way to help people. Unfortunately, charity can sometimes disable people. Charity is for children, old people, and disabled. That if you're not in that category, then you can do something. You can bring something to the table. Bring something to the table. I had a rough conversation with a relative of mine who was always having trouble with the rent every month. And I remember that she couldn't pay the rent, but she had two of her sons living in the house, and they were both in their early 30s, and it had nothing to do. Were unemployed, had nothing to do. And I'm like, you got two grown, healthy adult males in your house, and you can't get the bills paid? Well, something's wrong with that picture. That's not the way the world is supposed to work. Put the hammer on them. If everybody chips in, if there's three of y'all and the rent is $800, if three of y'all split $800, that ain't nothing. But if you're trying to do it all by yourself, then that becomes a burden on you. So why are you carrying around two grown, able-bodied men? Well, she was a single mom, and I think she had that guilt that some moms feel, where their sons are like, oh, it's hard for a black man and blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, it's hard for a black man. Well, that's why the black men in your house need to be tough. Like, if it's hard for a black man, then why would you send a little soft ass, weak ass, moist ass little boy out into the world where all he's going to do is end up getting his ass kicked and feeling sorry for himself? If it's hard out here for a black man, then you must be prepared. You don't send them out unprepared. So no, I said, make them do something. Tell them go out. You find a way to get some money. You'll contribute. Come on, man. What is this? What is this whole taking care of a grown man like he's a baby? So I don't understand that. I did not grow up in a space like that at all. That was not allowed in our house. Are you familiar with investing in startup companies? Yeah, we do, a little bit of that. There's different ways you can do it. Like if you form an investment club, you can actually invite people to, maybe pitch their companies to you. And actually, speaking of that, we actually do something Monday night at 8:00 that you guys might like. It's called Life's a Pitch. And Life's a Pitch is basically like a show we created with Lene Javette. She's the CEO of Upscale Noir. And basically what we do is we invite Black-owned businesses to pitch their business on video for 90 seconds. And so it's a great show for people who either want to support Black-owned businesses, who are running a Black-owned business, or who want to either learn how to start one or make their business better. Because what we do is we critique the pitches, and we will give them feedback, positive and negative, and also a lot of free marketing. You get thousands of dollars in free marketing because thousands of people see your video. And what we then do is we ask the audience to do what we call a wealth mob. A wealth mob is not a cash mob. A wealth mob can be cash, but if you don't want to support the business financially, you could just, give them wealth through advice, give them wealth through encouragement, give them wealth through some free marketing, take the link of the business, put it on your social media page. And then that way the business owners benefit by being exposed to a lot of us people that want to support Black businesses. They get good feedback. And then also the community benefits because they can find out about some of these Black-owned businesses that aren't really being promoted. So we did it last week. It went extremely well. And we're going to do another one Monday night at 8:00. If you want to be notified whenever we do a shout out for businesses or when we do a show, just get on our email list. You can get on our email list very easily and get a free e-copy of my book. Just go to allblackeconomics.com. That's allblackeconomics.com. So let me check something real quick. Yeah, if you go to allblackeconomics.com, then you can be notified when we do a shout out for businesses, and you can also check out the businesses that are on the show. So you'll be on our email list, and we just give free stuff away all the time. With the Black Business School, we have some things that cost money, but we like to do a lot of free stuff so that we can let you know that you can trust us. We want you to know that we're not just in this for the money. You have to, at some point, you have to get to the money. Just because when you're running a business and you have team members you have to pay, you have to generate revenue. Like that's not possible to not generate revenue. So when people say, well, why isn't everything free? We're like, how do you do that? You can't do. There's no such thing as a free lunch. In economics, that's an important theory that there's no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody's always paying. So if everything is free, so if we go in and we say, okay, yeah, we don't want anybody to think that we're trying to swindle Black people or take their money. So everything is going to be free. Well, then somebody's paying the bills. Well, guess who's going to be paying the bills? It's going to be your oppressor. It's going to be some big white corporation that's going to be writing checks so they can tell us what to say. They can tell us what we're allowed to teach, and then they're going to come in and say you're being too black, you're being too this, you're being too that. Next thing you know, we're shifting. We're having to be squirrely in order to maintain our funding. That's why a lot of your organizations in the Black community don't succeed and they don't last, because they have to get squirrely. They get corporate sponsors that tell them what to say and what to do, and they end up doing things that don't make any sense. Like the NAACP. Do you remember Donald Sterling, who owned the Clippers, the racist guy? Donald Sterling was the owner of the LA Clippers, and he got caught being racist. And what's fascinating about Donald Sterling, though, and the racism, is that Sterling had received an NAACP award. Did y'all know that he got an award from the LA chapter of the NAACP? Some chapter president, some dude with a jerry curl, gave him an award. Well, why do you think they gave him that award? They gave him that award because Donald Sterling just wrote a check. He said, you know what, black people can be bought. I'm just gonna write a check. Here you go. And then that way, what you're doing is it's like prostitution. You know, the guy writes a big check, he gets what he wants, right? So he's like, look, I can get rid of all my sins by writing a little check, not to the whole community, not a $10 billion check that's gonna help the hood, but maybe a $50,000 check so this guy can buy extra moisturizer for his jerry curl. Right, just a little, like they pay black leaders off with buckets of chicken. Like when they were trying to, Byron Allen peeped this out. Byron Allen called out Al Sharpton when he filed that $10-20 billion lawsuit against the Obama administration for the way black-owned media companies were blocked out of the NBC Universal merger, and the way the NBC Universal got approval from the black community to get that merger done. And Byron Allen said this is not just me. Basically, they wrote a little check to Al Sharpton. It was a few $100,000. Now, mind you, they're doing a merger. Let me see, how much was this merger? Hit the thumbs up button, by the way, while I look this up. I'm gonna look it up. Hit the thumbs up button. Let me see, how much was this merger? Oh, it was a $30 billion merger. So you're doing a $30 billion merger. And according to Byron Allen, if I'm not mistaken, they wrote a little check to Al Sharpton for like $500,000. Like literally the amount of money that they will pee out on their way to the bathroom. They this really says something about how they view black people. They just view you as being very, very cheap. So they're like, if we write a little check to Sharpton, we can get their approval. And because black leadership comes cheap. So, what I would say is that you have to be really careful about who you get your money from. Again, this is going back into my wheelhouse as a financial expert, right? I'm just telling you, I think about how money shifts people's actions. It shifts the way people think. It affects them emotionally in certain ways, and also politics. Money and politics go hand in hand. A lot of the ways that people get control is through money. So Donald Sterling got the NAACP to give him an award, which allowed him to then go and do whatever he wanted to black people. So that is, when they talk about selling out, that is an example of that. If you want to point an example. So with the Black Business School, when we structured all of this, in fact, when I structured my whole public scholarship career, back when I first got started, I said, how do we do this without having to sell out? Well, we're gonna have to push the community a little bit. We're gonna have to reach out. We can't help everybody. We're gonna have to grab onto black folks that understand that in order for this thing to move, we gotta all lift some of the weight. I'll do the heavy lifting first. Like I'll jump out and I'll do a bunch of stuff for free. I'll show you, by being here with you every day, that I really am doing this because this is what I believe. But then at some point, I'm gonna say, look, if you want us to go to level 2, or if you want this thing from me, then there's gonna be a price to that. It's gonna be 1/1000th of what you paid that university to teach you all the wrong stuff. But given that you and I both know that I'm going to give you something that's real and powerful and implementable that's actually going to work, then there's an investment that is required from all of us. And that is what you want to, that's a guiding principle that I think you have to have in your own family too. You have to really work with your children to help them understand, you are a player in this game also. You are not just a bench warmer who's going to sit back and watch Michael Jordan score all the points. You need to do something. Look, I can be the Michael Jordan. I'll go score the points. but you need to be ready to get a rebound. You need to box out. You need to be ready to play some defense. You need to be standing just standing on the perimeter, ready to get the pass to take the open shot and knock it down. You got to do something. You can't just sit here and watch while the load is being carried by somebody else. That's not empowering. That is very draining. A lot of your leaders, I'm talking about the leaders that really do care. I think those leaders get drained and exhausted because we sit back and we're looking for a Superman. And the Superman, I believe, is right there inside of all of us. And the thing is, no matter how great your leader is, no matter how much of a Superman that one person is that we put on a pedestal, that person can never be more powerful, more capable, more efficient, more effective, and more productive than all of us put together. Right? So sometimes, so that's the whole model. The model is to say, okay, here's the Black Business School. We run it like a church. You can join for free. Because if you want to pay for something later, you can. Maybe maybe you never want to, right? But I'm gonna earn your trust, right? I hope so. I'm gonna try my best to show you that I'm really good at what we do, right? And then at some point, I'll make an offer and I'll say, okay, here's what we're trying to do. Here's how much it costs. Here's what you get. There's a money back guarantee. If you're not happy for any reason, you get all your money back. I promise. Like no questions asked. So let's work this out so we can have a healthy economic relationship, so that we can have what I call the great diversion, where we can divert some of that 1.3 trillion that we're spending on mostly white businesses and just divert some of that to Black businesses, right? So a lot of y'all went to college. A lot of you are either went or you're going to go, or you got kids that are going to go. So my thought is like, well, maybe you can consider adding us into the mix. Like we know you might go 100,000 in debt for the white man or whatever, but just drop us like 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever, right? We're smart. We can do more. We can do more with $1,000 than a lot of these people can do with $50,000, right? So for example, you have people saying, "Oh, we're trying to build a school, but we need another $10 million to do it." No, I don't believe that. I believe that you can do a lot with very little, but you need something, right? You need something. So the Black Business School, I'm really proud of this because we have 127,000 students all around the world right now. We were able to utilize technology and scale, as well as creative, effective, and cutting edge economic training techniques to do something that nobody else has ever done. I don't care what school you go to, white, Black, HBCU, or whatever. Like, for example, there's no place you can go and do a Powernomics masterclass. Powernomics is what should be, in my opinion, the economic Bible of every Black family in America, because the focus of Powernomics ideology is that of building sustainable Black wealth through the ownership and control of institutions, assets, and resources, right? And so that's just one of many things that we do. Or the fact that we focus specifically on the racial wealth gap. We focus specifically on the Black wealth problem. And we put together models that you're not going to find in any textbook anywhere. I'm qualified to put these models together because that's what you do when you are a professor. When you have a PhD in something, you're not supposed to just regurgitate the crap that's in somebody's book. That'll get you laughed at in where I come from. No, you're supposed to be able to write the book. You're supposed to be able to take a new model and twist it and shape it, like taking a car maybe at the car dealership, and you're supposed to break that sucker into pieces and make it into a custom perfect car to do exactly what you're trying to make it do. So what I'm absolutely convinced that we have been able to do is we know the solution to the Black wealth problem. We know it's not like we're trying to figure it out. We know exactly why the racial wealth gap is as big as it is. We know exactly why the racial wealth gap keeps expanding. We know exactly how that racial wealth gap can actually close. We also know exactly how you as an individual or as a family can close the gap amongst the people you love without waiting for 40 million Black people to get on board. Some of these big models of like, oh, well, if every Black person, sends $10 to the fund, we'll have, $400 million a week. That pie in the sky stuff honestly doesn't, I haven't seen any examples to tell me that that's going to work. I don't know of a model that's going to be able to get 40 million Black people on the same page doing something that's so different from what you're trained to do from birth, right? I mean, you're just trained in so many ways to do all the wrong things. I just can't see everybody getting on that same page. So what I've said is, let's build a lifeboat. Let's build a lifeboat for anybody that wants to get on it, where I can say to you as the father in your house or as the mother in your house, here's exactly what you should do with your kids right now, so that when your children hit 25 years old, they are not going to be on the crappy end of the racial wealth divide. They're not going to be on the dark end of that stick. They're going to be on the good end of the stick. They're going to be in a good position. They're going to be financially secure. They're going to have plenty of assets. They're going to have plenty of economic freedom. They're going to have plenty of income. They're going to have more income than 99% of their white friends, right? That is not difficult to do. We know exactly what that formula is. Okay. So thank you guys for listening to me. I got into this. These thoughts were on my mind this morning. And I think I'm going to go watch some football or something. And but it was really fun talking to you guys, and I appreciate you listening. And also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins. But just know on that Instagram, I get a little bit crazy. I talk a little bit about everything. If you're just into the financial stuff and that's it, then I totally respect that. You can follow the Black Financial Channel on Instagram, or you can go to theblackfinancialchannel.com. Feel free to do that. And then last but not least, don't forget that the All Black National Convention starts Friday. So if you'd like to join us at the All Black National Convention, we're going to have a lot of great people there. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Thank you, guys. It was real. It was fun. And I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Peace.